And welcome aboard, everybody, to This Is Difficult, the best podcast about random rambling about random video game bullshit. Here we are about to talk about such games. I am your co-host, Lord Yeshua. It's Josh in the flesh. We got Paul Ryugami-san on his channel, and you're here to see him. And then it's another letdown, Zach in the corner.
What's up, guys?
Let's not let you down, guys. We got video games to talk about and shit. Let's start it off with Paul saying stuff.
Video games and shit. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Video
I don't
games
write
and other
this.
things.
What do you
mostly
want?
just video games.
Mostly just shit.
Hey.
Best podcast. That's right.
We come out here. I think it's the best podcast.
It's a great podcast.
It's the best podcast I'm on.
Joe Rogan's like, hold my expensive microphone.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah, nothing on us.
yeah. So I had a pretty awesome week in video games. It was my birthday week. Had a pretty cool week in general. So how about you guys? You guys have fun? You do anything cool this week?
Oh yeah.
I joined in with your birthday celebration. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
That was a bad friend. I saw.
You're a bad friend. No, but you're working. It's okay, man. No, don't worry about it. We'll get it next time.
I missed it, but I had a good video game week. But honestly, pretty light. But it was a good one. I had some eye-opening experiences, some old stuff.
I can't wait to hear about it, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as shady
Spoiler
as
alert,
possible.
I'm wearing this shirt deliberately.
I know. I didn't quite finish it, so but we'll get to
Why don't you kick us off, Josh? Tell us what you played.
I'll kick us off. So this week I played Mega Man X. It's going to be the game I'm reviewing next week. I can say that I am enjoying my experience. I have a lot to say about this game, actually, and it's definitely, like, clearly the grandfather of so many veins of different types of games.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I can say one thing about the game, my brain can't stop thinking it's like Kirby meets Metroid. Like, it's like kind of how...
Such
You're
an interesting-
you're a cartoonier Samus that has power-ups that you can, like, you basically kill people and take their power up exactly like Kirby.
Yep.
And so I'm just like, to me, it's just no Metroidvania aspect, but you kind of are like a cartoony Samus. So like, it really feels like those two. Was this a Nintendo collab? I don't even know who's Capcom.
Capcom.
Yeah, it's Capcom, but
who they produced first on.
it was originally on Nintendo.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
hang on,
that's what I was
wait a
hoping
minute.
for, honestly.
So the original Mega Man is Nintendo.
So
yeah.
I can love it.
So Mega Man
That's
X
right.
is actually
For me,
like
it's hard for
the
me to
second.
love third-party properties,
Yeah.
so I'm glad it's a Nintendo at least
Yeah.
used property. But it's on other things, like a lot of other
It
things.
eventually moved to PlayStation
So
because of I
X4
think of licensing. It was X4, and then they moved
And
back to
up
Nintendo
on
for
PlayStation.
Zero and Battle Network.
Yeah,
We'll get into this next week when we
Yeah.
talk about it.
it gets
So this
complicated.
is my first
our
go.
first-
Yeah.
It's going to be our first kind of everybody reviews it because we all played it. Paul and I got jealous of Josh having
Yep.
fun, and we both stopped.
One of my
what we were
favorite
doing
games
and
of all
played
time.
Had all
X
the fun.
all the way through this week. So that was kind of a funny experience, and we'll talk about
Getting there.
that more next week. What else, Josh? Keep going.
I do really like games like this that make you kind of feel like you're a god by the end of it. I'm not at the end of it, obviously, but I understand where we're going with this. Mega Man is a really cool concept as far as a character is concerned, because unlike Kirby, you can only have one power. Aside from the one game where you can switch between powers, that's awesome. But you essentially are literally upgrading yourself like Samus, but it honestly feels a little different because you're just becoming more powerful with like different guns and shit. So it's not just like tactical upgrades and stuff. It's all just like OP guns and shit. And you're just like fucking wrecking and shit. I admit, so this is awesome being able to play one of the originals of like a legendary saga. But I admit, I really now want to play one of the newer Mega Mans too, because I really want to see how far it's come now at this point. Like
So-
the dread to my Super Metroid.
I kind of almost feel bad because
Jay, did
this
you
is
fart?
not even like the original Mega Man's. Like the
No,
original
I mean,
Mega Man's.
But I needed something.
So
a
you got
little
like Mega
cleaner.
Man,
That's like
which
making me
was
play
all like
Metroid
the
instead of Super
Nintendo stuff,
Metroid.
what he's holding, and it's the same concept, more simplified. When the 60 or when the Super Nintendo came out, it was like Super Mario, right? So like
Yeah.
that's where Mega Man X came. It's like the next generation of Mega Man games.
Well, that's
And-
not entirely true either, Paul, because Mega Man 7 was on SNES.
That's true, but that came out after Mega Man X.
I
Pretty
believe
sure.
that's correct.
Yeah.
I can double check that. But.
That's very confusing. I also
Yeah.
never understood the timeline of games, and my friends always talk about Mega Man. I'm like, I never understood what game they were talking about because of.
I might
there
have
like
made that
being
up,
so many
Zach, but
numbers.
thanks for checking.
I'm
that.
working. Yeah, I'm double
There were
checking you.
7 Mega Mans by the time the Super Nintendo came out. Are you fucking joking?
At least.
Like, what
yeah.
the hell?
Yeah, no,
At
you
least,
were correct, Paul.
It came
How
out
many
after.
Mega Man games
Yeah.
are there?
There's a
How
lot.
can they all be? How can they all be so different?
There's a lot of Mega Man games, and you'd be surprised.
Are they all that varied, or how many games do you feel
so
the same?
so most of like the mainline
are they
ones
DLC of each other?
No,
like
No.
So here's how it works.
Say,
like
you know?
all the mainline ones have the same concept, where it's like you've got a certain amount of robot masters that are being controlled by one bad guy, right? But the stories will vary.
4.
Yeah, the stories will vary. The levels will vary. The robot masters will vary. And that's kind of like where it kind of broke that mold was with the Mega Man Zero games on the Game Boy Advance, is where it got a little more complicated than just like, here's your set of robot masters, beat them, go do this boss rush shit, and whatever.
Yeah.
So
and part of that was the non-linearity, and part of that was the level design, and part of that was the overworld, and part of it was the elemental chips. There's only 4 as opposed to original Mega Man or X or any of the preceding saga.
Don't say how many.
I won't.
Okay,
there were X number. Huh?
Hey, you did it.
I guess you.
So I would say the most modern games in this style would be the Zero games, right?
Yes,
because there's not really.
What's the newest Mega Man?
Mega Man 11, and quite frankly, Paul and I were talking about this before you logged in, Josh. We've been trying to beat that since it came out, both of us.
It's fucking hard.
Even on Wimpy Kitty Baby mode.
Well, is it great?
Stupid hard.
Is it amazing?
It's really fucking good, but it's
really good, but
really hard.
It's so hard that it's unplayable.
Yeah.
So hard, it's unplayable.
Yeah.
Josh is like challenging something. That's honestly, that's going to be my next big Switch project, because I've cleared my backlog of Switch games.
Switch, you say.
I'm going to do the best I can.
How much is this game right now? How much is that game?
Mega Man 11?
$60.
Nearly full price, yeah.
I bet you can find it on sale on certain platforms.
Sure
it's on every platform too, so.
Steam it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play anything other than Mega Man this week?
I don't know, honestly. Maybe Pokemon Snap? Did I play any Smash Bros? I don't think I did anything else. Played Mega Man. I'm trying to think.
Oh crap! Mega Man 11 is like $20.
There you go.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
amazing.
I have it on the Switch. It runs pretty well.
Get it on Switch.
Get it on Switch. Runs just fine on Switch.
It's $20 on the Switch.
Yeah,
it's 30 on.
It's 15 on Switch.
Damn.
So we were wrong.
Okay, I just want to play the newest Mega Man because I want to.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I will be as well. Like I'm at that point. I'm going to
get ready for it to be incredibly different from Mega Man X. It's way different from Mega Man X.
Okay, can I look up?
Yeah.
Can you duck?
Yes.
Oh no.
Well,
looking up and ducking. No, your duck is your slide in every Mega Man game.
It's the slide. Yeah.
You can never aim up.
So again, your aiming in different directions really depends on the weapon you're using. There's not like there's no Mega Man game where you can like
physically point. Well, okay, that's not true, Paul, and we'll get into that in just a second.
Will we?
There's exceptions to a lot of rules, okay? But
okay, because I want to play that one.
No, you don't. No, you do not. And I will tell you why in just a second. So
I'm saying, is it really that amazing of a concept? Like, okay, I'm not giving away how I feel about the games yet, but I'm just like, it seems good and all that, but we're still just shooting side to side. It never changes from that or becomes that different. It's like Mario is like the same type of. Mario goes into 3D and like all this crazy shit and becomes like massive, and I'm like, well, how does Mega Man do it?
So what Mega Man excels at? What Mega Man excels at is movement and boss design, right? Yeah. So like. Yeah. What you'll start to see is yes, your one weapon, your super like vanilla weapon, yeah, it just shoots straight, right? But each boss has different patterns and designs and weaknesses and strengths and so on and so forth that make everything like really unique. As you progress through the Mega Man series, particularly in the later X games and in the Zero games, your movement gets so much more complicated than just, shooting, right? Like it's and that's where these games really start to excel.
The tools of the trade is part of it. Like in Zero, if you use a specific weapon, you can effectively stab upward. It's the triple rod.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go diagonal with the triple
Oh,
rod.
I guess
and
you
it
can
works
aim
fine.
with the triple rod. Yeah, you totally can.
But it's in order to use the triple rod, you have to sacrifice using another weapon.
Shit.
So
but what's
it's a
cool about
decision-making process.
Zero is you can equip, 2 weapons at the same time, which is
That's sick.
Fly.
But that's a whole nother generation of Mega Man games though. So
correct, and it's not a standard Mega Man experience like we said.
I think X is a really great game to start on. If you're getting into Mega Man.
Yes.
The older games are actually way harder and less complicated, if that makes any sense, than the X games. I think that the Mega Man X games are like literally the perfect ones for.
I'm assuming the originals are more like OG Metroid and how horrible they are to play.
They're not.
Yeah, they're not horrible to play.
Mega Man 2 is my favorite mainline Mega Man game.
Oh wow!
Also one of the hardest.
It's also one of the hardest.
Yeah,
but it's the only one that I can recently remember beating. I know I've beaten them all at some point, but that is the one that I can reliably, like, within the last 5 years I've beaten Mega Man 2 on my phone of all things. It was
insane.
briefly out on iOS.
Let's see. Let's move on from Mega Man because we're going to talk about this a lot when Josh
we got a lot
finishes
of Mega Man.
it and is ready to review. So
yep.
Zach, what'd you play this week?
Well, so okay, I'm glad you went to me next because I like we said, I also played Mega Man X. But the part of the reason that I was so excited for Josh to play Mega Man X and then subsequently played it myself was because Mega Man X Dive released this week on iOS. I think it's been out for Android for a little while. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's real bad. I'm still playing it because I'm a giant Mega Man dork, but it's a gacha game.
Yeah.
It's like Mario Run.
And my heart broke in half with that.
Oof.
There's a couple of nice things about it. They broke the levels up into small chunks, and so you can play it on in the duration of a poop. So it's a great while you're sitting on the John contemplating life game. But there's so many moving parts. I have no idea what half the currencies are. Not even half. Like I know 3 of them, maybe. And most of them involve pulling the gacha lever. And it's pretty miserable. Just this morning, I got Zero, who is my favorite character in the series, to a higher proficiency level than X. And now I've moved into using my favorite character. But that's a full week's worth of play before
Could have cost like $10 just to get it.
Right. I could have spent a bunch of money and done it that way. But if I was going to spend money, I would get GBA Zero, my favorite skin for Zero. But I told myself when I downloaded this, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to pay money for this game. I've got a million of the dollars currency at Zenny, I think, which they took from Battle Network. And
Final Fantasy before that.
Sure, right. I know it from Battle Network. But I'm like, I don't know what to do with this money. Whatever. I guess pull the gacha lever. Like that's all I know what to do with it with. I'm sure there's something else, but it's so unclear as to what to do. Basically, the tutorial for the game, which lasts for the first 3 levels, just teaches you how to play the gacha elements.
Yeah,
and a bunch of random stuff that whatever. I didn't pay attention.
That tutorial was brutal.
It was horrible.
And after doing it, I still had no idea what I was doing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm level mid-30s now. And almost all the game elements are unlocked at this point. I think there's one more that unlocks at level 40. And most of them are just miserable. There's PvP. It sucks. It's the same level. It's basically Super Smash Brothers with bad characters that don't control well. Yeah, and I lose every single time. There's a co-op mode that's really generic. Josh, you can aim upward.
Wow.
Next dive. You can aim 360, but it locks on target. It just finds the nearest target, even if it's through a wall, and locks on it. If there's something behind you, you can pull your hand off the control stick, but you physically have to do that. And I tried playing with the 8-bit controller. That was even worse.
So I want to
thinking
address
about-
the 360 shooting thing real quick, and I maybe kind of I tried to say this earlier, but I just thought of I think a better way to explain it. Like
Sure.
the I think the reason there's not 360 shooting, well, two reasons. In the Mega Man games, number one is because when they first came out, they couldn't do 360 shooting, right?
Yes.
On the original Nintendo. But why it never evolved is because like they want you, instead of like pointing a gun, they want you to move around the space.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
do
That's
combat
exactly
that
it.
way.
And it's
So-
designed to make you think about where your gun is rather than just
Exactly.
point and shoot.
Yeah.
Because that's what separates them from Metroid. That's what makes it different.
Actually.
Yeah. So because otherwise you'd just play Metroid. So yeah, I was horrifically disappointed with X Dive. Am I going to keep playing it? I don't know.
Fucked.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. There's
Sounds like
one other
shit.
mobile game that I've been playing for the last like 5 years. It's a Harry Potter dumb thing. That it's story driven and really good. It's got the same, pay to win elements as any other mobile game, but at this point I'm as far along in the plot as it's possible to be, so it makes no sense to drop dollars on it. Which is really great.
I like
and
tower
it's because
defense
I've been
games.
playing it
It's my shit.
since it dropped.
Dude, the original tower defense games, like there was a
Good
Final
stuff.
Fantasy one back in the day that was
Those are
really
fun.
good. But they
Feels
were
good
also
to be
like
that
free
OP.
on iOS, and they didn't have all
Exactly.
the bullshit like mobile gotcha crap that they pump into things. And
Dude, my favorite free game ever was probably Jetpack Joyride, though. You ever
Jetpack
play that
Joyride was
game?
great.
There were so many unlockables,
Endgame,
and
man.
never paid a cent into that game, and it felt really big. And I
A
got
lot
it
of
for free on
those-
the PS4 also,
Yeah.
and it was like huge. I was
a
like,
lot
this
of
is
those
cool.
original like iOS games, like
Doodle
before.
Jump. Oh
Yeah,
my
there's
God.
Doodle Jump was
Great.
so good. Yeah.
So good. Me and
Yeah,
my buddy
the
were
ninja
constantly
game
super
beating
fun.
each other's
Where you have to
shit.
like rappel off the walls and collect the gold
Yes.
bars. That game
There was
Those games are a
watching
lot
that.
better.
There was a Spider-Man like game. I forget what it was called, but it was literally just like timing like a button press to like throw another rope. I think it was called Rope Swing.
It was
And
Rope
you just
Swing, yeah.
try and go as far as you can. And like what was cool is cuz like you could like if you got like a good like a hit on a building, you could do this giant swing and let go and like fly, like
Yes.
Spider-Man, then like shoot out a thing. And yeah. Hella fun.
awesome.
It's
Yeah,
the
that is
simplest
cool.
concept, just
I
2D
miss
side
that.
scrolling.
Can
Yeah,
we have that
dude,
back instead of these gotcha garbage
dude, for real.
things
Yeah,
that are
those
coming
were
out?
good.
'Cause
Those
I'm sick of
games
it.
often didn't require any gotching, and there was
Yeah,
often
yeah.
like no way to like Doodle Jump.
Yeah.
Like eventually, skins got introduced and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
still like pretty avoidable. But now
Yeah.
it's like horrendous.
Yeah.
Now it's inundated. Yeah.
So yeah, Mega Man X Dive is a big old don't play from This Is
Big
Difficult.
old dump on our faces.
Yep. Other than that, I played Space Marine again because that game's real fun.
I stopped in for a little
and-
bit of that. That looked cool.
Yeah,
fun.
it's a really fun game. I was having an absolute ball. And my Tuesday night crew played Human Fall Flat, which is a game that I will be reviewing soon because it started out as hilarious, then got really difficult, and then just got tedious.
Dun,
So
dun, dun.
that's
Sounds
the
like a
thing.
shit game.
Yeah,
Well,
that is. Isn't it like a
really-
super
really comes down to-
physics-based game?
It's a super physics puzzle game, but just not.
like Get
it's not
Over
Portal.
It.
It's not Portal, so it's just trash basically at the end of the day.
Wait, what game?
Anything that's not Portal is
What
trash.
game?
It's a physics-based puzzle.
Human
What
Fall
game?
Flat.
Wait, so there's another game that just came out. I think it's called Splitgate. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
No.
Split.
It's like Halo
supposed
with
to be a-
portals.
It's supposed to be a Halo Portal like, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
So
kinda cool.
yeah, I think that's free crossplay. So I think we should play that and give
Yeah,
see
that-
what
I'm
we think about
down
that.
with
too.
that.
I'd be down to check it
Might
out.
download that right now, actually, while we're just
And then
talking
the
about it.
last game that I played this week, and this transitions nicely into what Paul's about to say, we played Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
And I had
It's
not
in
played
beta.
that yet, and we suck at it. But it was
Yeah, we weren't
super
that
fun.
bad.
No,
I
we
mean,
weren't
we
that
got
bad.
all the way through the game.
We did get through it,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I had to go, and you guys beat it without me, which was great.
Yeah.
We did a pretty good job. It was, I mean, we were definitely not good at it, but we had a great time. And it was one of those textbook cases of multiplayer makes it better.
Yeah.
Mm.
So was that it, Zach?
Yep, that's it.
Let me talk about what I did this week. This week was
You're
my
still on
birthday, and
good
I
time.
did a special stream on my birthday. I took the day off. It was Tuesday, and I just was playing Nintendo 64 games for the most part. And then my brother came over, and we played some games together there and did some wacky stuff. One of the games that I started out with, because I thought like maybe I'd try and review these, which actually kind of also plays into our topic for tonight, were the Nintendo 64 Castlevania games.
Yes.
I never played any of those.
Yeah, it's a big no from me.
Yeah, no, it's a big no. But it's yes because Castlevania and no because oh god.
Here's the thing, honestly, it like I was playing them and I was like, man, if I played this when I was a kid, I think it would have been rad. Also, I think if they did like a Z targeting like in Zelda, it still would have been rad. Because there's some cool concepts in the game. Like I think they did some ambitious things in both of the N64 Castlevania games, but they didn't do enough to make it like playable, especially 20, 30 years later, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but that doesn't surprise me. I mean, like they weren't thinking 20, 30 years down the road.
Of course not. Yeah, but like Ocarina of Time holds up.
Fantastically.
But yeah, I think by accident, right?
It was kind of not by accident.
They weren't thinking 20 years down the road.
They wanted to make something that Nintendo always wants to make something that lasts. Zelda was important to them.
Sure, but they're not like deliberately. Okay, here we go.
Zelda, Ocarina of Time. These were, I promise you, they made these games with the intent that they not just be a quick fix.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
maybe.
They wanted these games to be legendary. This was their first run. The N64 was very important to Nintendo, just as far as its debut into the 3D world, and they did things that no one else did. GoldenEye, fucking Super Mario 64, Star Fox, Banjo-Kazooie, all that shit. No,
we'll be talking about Banjo tonight too.
This is leading us right into our topic, I feel like.
Well, I got more to talk about here, so we'll get to that. But those two things do play into what we're talking about tonight. So then, like Zach said, we played Streets of Rage, which was a blasty.
So much fun.
Unfortunately, Zach had to leave before we finished it, but we did finish it. That game's awesome. We did not get to play. We got to play with some of the DLC characters, but we didn't get to play like the survival mode. We just didn't have time. I'm trying to remember what we closed out the stream with. We tried to get we spent way too much time during the stream trying to set up a 64 emulator so that people could play remote. That was a bad idea. We should have done that beforehand. Real poor planning. But it all turned out all right. We still had a really great time. Chameleon Twist. We played a little Chameleon Twist.
That's right. Played Turok for a brief moment.
Turok. Wow. So here's one thing that I'll say about Turok. So Turok, I think, deserves the credit that Halo gets for revolutionizing first-person shooters.
Yes.
But because you cannot customize your controls to be not inverted, it's unplayable for people who don't play inverted. So like that game is like fucking unplayable for someone like me to go back to. But I do think it deserves the credit for revolutionizing the controls specifically of first-person shooters on console, more so than Halo. Halo definitely has like the multiplayer thing down, right? Like they can take credit for that, but like I really feel like that Turok should be the one that takes the credit for the control scheme. But so that was cool, at least just kind of experiencing that, even though it was very painful. What else did I play? Dude, I really did have a great week, with the exception of I got my PlayStation account banned this week, apparently.
That was heavy duty.
Yo, I did not know. And I had like gift cards for my birthday. So I went to like spend them and logged into my PlayStation account, and they're like, "Listen, homie, this is permanently banned." I was like, what?
This is the
I don't know
length and depth of how
I'll tell you guys the whole story. Yeah.
He was ready to abandon PlayStation.
You should. They banned you for no reason.
I wasn't quite ready to abandon PlayStation, but I was
close.
I was considering it.
If the reason is because you're streaming on the 5, that's bullshit.
Well, that's not the reason. That's surely not the reason.
It could be.
No, I think I know the reason.
Tell me.
Dude, hey, guess what? I'll tell the story and all the details will flow out and you don't have to guess anything. I'll do it for you. Like I'll give you the spoilers right now. in June, my PlayStation account got stolen, and as did a bunch of money from both my credit card and a friend's card. Obviously, our banks rectified the situation. I got my account back on PlayStation. Everything seemed hunky dory until this week when I go to log in and I couldn't. So PlayStation support will not let you call in about a banned account. You have to submit a appeal form. Yep. And they say it'll be 1 to 3 business days, and a rep will get back to you and discuss blah 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 blah. They also make a note, if your account was banned due to a chargeback, you need to rectify that before they're gonna unban your account. So, I put in the appeal. I wait and wait and wait, and on the third day.
Dawn of the third day.
On the dawn of the third day,
nothing.
My account rose from the grave.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I got an email. It wasn't at dawn. It was at 11 o'clock Central Time, because that's when PlayStation support opens. And I get an email saying that my account has been restored. So I'm like, great, this is awesome. But I'm still sketched out, because even in that email, they're like, if there's any outstanding balances, shit's going to get banned again. And I'm like, okay. They still didn't tell me why, or what an outstanding balance was, if I have one or what, because I'm sure they're like, hey, they did chargebacks, ban them, right? And so I get on the PlayStation support website, because this is now the only way to contact them is through chat, which is also really annoying. And I get in a chat, and this lady is so dismissive. I'm going to read the whole conversation.
Yeah, read the whole thing. I'm actually really curious.
Quick. Daisy's the name of the PlayStation account rep. She says, "Thank you for contacting PlayStation. My name is Daisy M. How may I assist you today? Remember, please do not refresh your screen, as it will disconnect the chat session."
You're on blast, Daisy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super.
Should have responded with pee pee poo poo.
Me.
Pee pee poo poo, bitch.
Hi. My account was recently banned, and I'm not sure why. I was able to get the ban lifted, but I wanted to make sure this doesn't happen again. And then Daisy replies, "Hello, Paul. I understand you're experiencing issues with the account. I'll do my best to find the best solution on this chat and make it fast and easy for you. We'll be working with the PlayStation ID entered in the pre-chat form." And then she replies again, "In this case, I can see the account is active and not banned. Or are you referring to another account?" And I say, "No, it was this account. They lifted the ban today. I just wanted to make sure it doesn't happen again." Then she says, "Of course, in case something happens, please contact us to avoid this happening again. Also, here you can take a look at extra tips to safeguard your information so this doesn't happen again." She sends me a link to best practices bullshit. Then she immediately says, "It was my pleasure helping you out today. Before we say goodbye, is there anything else I can help you with?" And I'm furiously typing my next question, because she didn't answer a single question that I asked.
Yeah, she just dodged it.
Right? And as I'm typing it, I get this there's a ding that goes off, and I get this message: "Thank you for contacting PlayStation. Have a nice day. Security best practices." And that's it. That was it. Super dismissive, didn't give me any answers. So if my account gets banned again, that's going to be a bummer, but
yeah.
Fuck Sony.
Yeah.
Fuck Sony. Nintendo would have flown down.
Don't say fuck Sony, but no, Nintendo wouldn't do that.
Miyamoto would have been on your couch fixing your Switch.
Vivid.
I was pretty mad. But at least I got my account back. Then we got to play some more video games this week, right? Because, like I said, I had some gift cards. I picked up some games. On the Nintendo Switch, I picked up Samurai Warriors 5, which is really great so far. I'm loving it. The art style is fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's following the story of Oda Nobunaga during the Sengoku period, in the beginning of the Sengoku period, which is the warring stage period of Japan. It's the one that when people think of samurai, that's what they're most familiar
the
with.
Quintessential samurai, period.
Yeah.
So good food out of that period too.
Yep. Yeah. So it's really cool. It's, if anyone knows anything about me, that's totally my jam. So we did that for Samurai Saturday. Also, I got another Muso game, so another warrior style game, but this is the Berserk one. So it's a Berserk Band of the Hawk, and that game is freaking awesome. Like if I don't think there's a game better suited for that format than Berserk. It's freaking cool.
Sounds
so
nuts.
I didn't play a lot of it, but I did play it, and I'm pretty excited about it. They also did like all the cutscenes in the game are from the more recent animated movies for Berserk that they did. So that's really cool too.
That's crazy. Those
And
movies
So
are
for
then-
anyone who's wondering right now, we don't have a review today. That's why we're going a little bit long. And
we're gonna be just rambling.
Fortunately, we all played a lot of games this week, and we do have a really cool topic that I'm excited about. Finally, I played Mega Man X, and I also played like about a quarter of Mega Man X4. So I did some of that. Really, really enjoying that. But yeah, that was my week in video games. Pretty eventful week, I would say.
It was a busy week for all of us.
Yeah.
End of the summer for me. I go back to work on Tuesday, so
Oof.
Yeah,
had to get in
that's
some
rough.
gaming this week.
That must be
Yeah,
nice.
it'll be all right.
Josh
quite
is
done
not
with it yet.
reviewing Mega Man X. He will be. The reason
will
we're not
next
doing
week.
it
Us at the
tonight
same time.
is because he hasn't quite finished it, and we definitely think that it's a game worth finishing before.
Plus, we want to go
Yeah.
long.
You know, we like I said at the top of the show, we all played it in the last week, so you're going to get 3 different grades for it.
One
for
a
different-
blind playthrough.
one blind playthrough, 2 veterans.
I don't think I'm gonna grade it because I think that
It's
my
tough to grade.
nostalgia
Rose-colored
for the
goggles.
game is too strong to give it a fair score.
I think that's why
Brings us
my score
right
is probably
into
the
our
most
topic for the
impartial.
day.
Yes,
That does
I
lead
agree.
us right into our topic for today.
Paul,
Which
this was
is-
your idea. Kick us
I
off.
like this topic.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to talk about. So essentially it's going to be nostalgia versus quality, and what I call this is the Goonies theory. All right? And why I call it that is because I never saw Goonies as a child. And I saw it as an adult, and I was like, wow, this movie's trash. And I was immediately accosted by every single person who had seen it as a child. And I was like, wait a minute, there's something here, right? Like, there's something. This theory was also originally called the Brave Little Toaster theory because I love the Brave Little Toaster, but I always assumed
Still haven't
it was
seen that.
only because I was a child.
It wasn't popular in my realm of people.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know
and look, we
anyone.
have
It was a
that
little
would
bit
ever-
before your
no one
time.
recommended- I think it was slightly before me.
Yeah, because I'm a couple years older than you. I think it is just a little bit before your time.
A hair,
Yeah.
a hair. I was more Rockadoodle.
Oh
See,
my-
Rockadoodle was around the same time though. That's
yeah,
interesting.
I was into a lot of old shit
Yeah.
though. I think I dodged that one.
Yeah.
Like I was Roger Rabbit, all that shit.
Dude, there's some
dude.
really great
yeah.
songs. The song
Roger
in
Rabbit.
That's
the
a pretty inappropriate
junkyard
movie, I realized when I
in
was
Brave
older.
Little Toaster, so good. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on from that.
Moving on,
Um,
moving on.
the-
But the
the
reason
point-
it's called that is the topic name.
Yeah, the topic name's the Goonies theory. So my whole point here is
don't know
that
what it is
there's certain properties, right, that we played or that we watched as children that we really hold to a high standard because of our nostalgia. But if you go and experience that later on in life, maybe it doesn't hold up. And the reason I equated this to video games is we started having a discussion in our podcast Discord about ukulele, because I was making, like, it's kind of a running joke that anytime we see something ukulele related, we hit up Colin with it because he
his
notoriously
favorite
hates that
game.
game. Yeah, we say it's his favorite
We say
game,
it's his
right?
favorite game. That and
Oh.
Conquer.
Yeah, but it's not, obviously. He hates it.
Yeah.
And so that made me like want to do a science experiment, right? So like I was like, hey, I wonder if like it's just, you know, banjo fans that were expecting something different that are spurned that are really hating on this game, and maybe it's not that bad. And then I started thinking more about it, and I was thinking, wait a second, is banjo even that good? I've never
God, I wanna
played
cut you off so
banjo.
bad.
You can't. Let me just finish, and then we can get deep into it. And I'm definitely not saying banjo's a bad game. I'm
I hate
definitely
it.
not
No,
saying
no,
it.
no.
Not by a long shot.
Yeah,
Not
and
me,
I played
Colin,
it
I haven't
once, and it was one of the
opened
most
my mouth
memorable
yet, don't
gaming
worry.
experiences of my
sure,
life.
and that's fine. And it probably is a great game, but it does beg the question: is it only good to, or that good to these people because they loved it as a child, and as an adult, does that hold up? Now, one last thing before we unleash the hounds on this. Our producer Chamali looked up the ratings for Banjo-Kazooie when it was released on Nintendo 64 and Banjo-Kazooie when it was re-released on Xbox. and it's higher rated on the N64 than it is on the Xbox, telling me significantly higher rated, telling me that there might be something to the theory. There might be something to the theory. So that being said,
I'm not sure that's not the recreation of the game, though. I'm not sure that's not the lack of quality in the remake.
I don't think it's. Is it a remake or is it a port?
It's a remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's not
in the same way that Conquer is
the thing. Like,
but so the Conquer remake's fantastic.
That's true. So this just leads to that just
compared to the original.
It's just partially like, is the remake good enough? It's like, that's my one thing. Like, it released at a time. Remember last week I was like, if it's not released at the right time, like for the right crowd, coming out on Xbox when Rare is dead, it's like, okay, but these people don't even care. They're trying to play Gears of War and shit. They don't care about Banjo. Like, I'm sorry, but like, I know, but I will admit goofiness and like quirkiness and stuff and certain things were more popular in the 90s and like things like that. You could get away with more ridiculous concepts like Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't know that I agree with that because Rayman and Spyro were huge.
They're ridiculous concepts. That's
correct, but they did fine on Rayman did fine from the time that it started all the way through now. Like Rabbids is still a game that people play.
Some games maintain their power, and again,
same thing with what's the game that I just gave it to my brother because he just got a PS5. Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank. So here's the difference. Here is some games evolve with their original producer and get better and better ideas. The same crew the whole time. We got Mario, we got Ratchet and Clank, we got Zelda, we got a few games like that, and those are the best fucking games in gaming. Let's be real. These games that are like ladders, Mega Man, everything like that. And then there's games like Banjo-Kazooie and other ones like that that kind of have a sordid history where it's like a good game, like a not so great game, okay, or a remake, and it's totally different concept now, and now another remake of the original, and it's like all over the place with who created it and like producers and all that stuff. And so some games I feel like don't hold up because their history is muddled potentially. But I think the proof is, scientifically, like we could just like have people play it and see, we
don't have the bandwidth to make that.
Here's the thing.
So I came up with a plan for this. It's in the Discord. So let me scroll to it because this conversation was kind of in depth. Is this going to
be like the time that Jeremy Clarkson strapped a V8 motor to a rocking chair?
Kind of. I literally suggested that we do a double-blind placebo test for the for people. Like we take a large group of people who have not played either Banjo-Kazooie or ukulele, right? We split that group into 3, right? We have one group playing banjo, we have one group playing ukulele, and we have one group playing Conquer as the control.
Oh, good lord.
Okay, I played Conquer when I was older. Conquer was really grueling for me.
Conquer's a terrible.
It's so hard.
That's a joke. That's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah. Conquer's not the control. I think the control would be...
God. It's got to be like Rayman or something.
Here's
like
the thing, though.
Or Mario 64.
Mario is a big one.
Yeah, that's a good control.
I don't think it's always nostalgia as much as it is. This is a big factor too.
What you would have to do afterwards, though, just to finish that, is flip the groups so that they play the other game.
Right.
So that everyone has both experiences.
But think about it. Speaking of experience, it's like, okay, if it's playing it for the first time, okay, cool. And so for me, when I play Mega Man X, I clear my mind out. I'm back in 1992 or whatever. Like, I'm really trying to accept the game from its origin point. And not everyone does that. So they play Banjo-Kazooie in 2020 and they're, or whatever a year the fuck it is now. And they're like, this game is just old. It's just an old remake. It's like good looking now, but like, okay, now it's not, and the original looks even worse. That's the thing. Like, can people tolerate the old graphics? Can people tolerate the old control schemes? They might just hate the game based on, like, Faye hated the Z targeting in Zelda and hated Ocarina of Time. And I couldn't even watch her stream it.
She was playing with a really bad controller.
And I'm like, yo, that made me want to die because like the Z targeting is so good. Me and Colin are always like, yes, it feels so good. Like, I think Ocarina of Time feels so good. And so this leads me to what I think is a huge factor. It's not necessarily those were the good old days. Those games were better thoughts, but it's like, I know that game. I could fucking write a script of that game with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? Like, I've played these games and I mastered the controls, and we have literally played the shit out of these games. Star Fox feels really good to us. It's possible it doesn't feel that good to other people, but because
let me put a pin in that real quick, because if you take Star Fox and you take GoldenEye and you take any motherfucker off the street and put both games in front of them, they're gonna have an easier time with Star Fox. Star Fox's controls are really good. GoldenEye's controls are not, but they were for the time.
Yeah, GoldenEye.
You know what I mean?
GoldenEye was the gold standard for first-person shooter.
I agree.
At that moment in time,
that
we
time.
played
Now it's the brown eye standard.
much of it. Yeah, I know it is. I mean, well, Time Splitters came out, and Halo eventually, and it just the genre changed.
Yeah.
And which is the fact that it's the gold standard is kind of odd because Doom existed.
But Doom didn't have split screen 4-player PvP.
This is true. That's true. That's very true.
PvP. So Doom is now surpassed for sure.
Well, I think Doom is like Unreal Tournament surpassed it.
Yeah.
I think Doom is the fucking standout shooter right now, honestly. Like, as far as quality of a game, like, I don't know. I don't think that I enjoy the others. Halo's good, but there's more to Doom. Like,
yeah, if you're looking for just a
Metroid is the only competitor we haven't seen for yet. So that's like the only thing I can think of that could possibly compete with Doom.
I mean, if you're talking about like controls and things like that, and like gun feel, I would say Destiny is by far better.
Destiny's really good,
but I think Destiny is kind of.
Left 4 Dead is still
Doom has more
still going strong.
Think about how much content.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Well, Destiny was so short, and I was really sad about that. But it felt really good. I admit.
I mean, Destiny's ongoing that I think is the problem.
It's a gotcha game too, in my opinion.
No,
it really
not
is.
really.
Dude, I bought that game for $5 and I was like, sweet. I beat it in 6 hours. I could not compete online, and I was like, okay, let me check out the DLC. It was like another $150 at that point just to get like a little bit more missions.
It's not like that anymore, but it is not great.
But it was at the time, which was like 5 years ago. But like.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong.
I'm not entirely wrong. It is kind of a gotcha game, which sucks, but it is one of the better feeling like shooters. I agree.
I would argue it's the best feeling shooter.
I still think Doom is like.
I haven't played Doom to be fair, but I think the gun feel in.
Back it up a second.
No, I played the original Dooms. I haven't played the recent Dooms.
Dude, then you. I'm talking about the series encompassing. This is a series that like it's stayed true since its origins. It's as badass on every platform as ever. Like literally every new Doom on the N64, on the Super, whatever. Each new Doom is as hard as it possibly can be.
It's dialed up to 11. It's always. I see what you're saying there.
64, you were like, fuck.
Now that's a game that I would say doesn't apply to this topic though, and because that game certainly fucking holds up, right?
Yes. And it arguably looks like trash. Yeah. It arguably doesn't have like a range of controls, but it feels good. It still is like an indie game could be made in this day that looks like that. That's the other thing. Like if this game was remade today, any game insert here, would it be well received? Like if Doom 64, Doom didn't exist, Doom 64 gets dropped today, I think that game would be very well received as an indie like title and would do incredibly if this was like the first time we ever saw a Doom like game.
I mean, there's games being released all the time that are in that style still.
Exactly, and they probably do pretty good. But like, so that's like, why does a game like Doom hold up? Okay, it really just like goes all out in its like style and its ideas to the point where like it's so extreme that each one is just such a gem.
I think what it does well is it identifies like the focus points of what it wants to do and perfects those things. It doesn't try and do a lot. It doesn't try and like, be the most complicated game you've ever played in your life. It's really simple. It's like freaking tough guy kills demons, right? How do we make that feel as awesome as possible? And that's what they focus in on, And
that's why those last. Yeah, that's why maybe Nintendo has like kind of hit it for that reason too, because like Mario is such an easy to grasp concept. I love Mario. I'm not going to knock it in that way, but like it really is like anyone can pick up that fucking controller, and each one again is maxed out on feel and like how good and like how much love is poured into these games. Like each Zelda game that comes out is maxed out. Like the story, arguably the most effort like a company can put into a game. Like craftsmanship.
Sure.
And that's why they hold up, is because like even if it's just a random entry on an old console, that amount of love for that time and that like game was like built as perfectly as possible. I think that Banjo-Kazooie is one of those games personally. I think that is just
I also think you have very strong rose-colored glasses for this game.
I have rose-colored glasses, but I also think I am very good at
kind of like we do for Mega Man X.
Yeah. Being able to soar through this game with Colin in 3.5 hours is like not everyone could do that. Not everyone would pick up the game and be like, I don't understand how you do that. They just like can't collect as hard. And so I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe you won't like it as much, but maybe you would see it for the first time and be like, okay, this actually feels pretty good. Like I get it's N64. You're back in time now. Your mind and body accept that the controls aren't as flawless, but like, and the graphics aren't as flawless, but you're like, but now I'm back in this like zone. Like that's how I feel when I play Mega Man. I'm like, no, I'm not like accepting this as a brand new game. That'd be so unfair to the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like back. This is a Super Nintendo game. Like I'm accepting it for that.
There's
and
one thing
that's a fair way to assess that.
Yeah, there's one thing that I kind of regret in like pushing you to play this game this week for the review is
that you gave
like
me all the secrets.
Yeah, well, so no, because we haven't. There's tons of secrets that you're nowhere
There's so
even close
much.
to.
Yeah, you're gonna miss stuff the first playthrough.
But like one part of the joy of that game that I experienced as a child was figuring all that shit out over the course of a long time. Like that game's not a very long game. I can beat that game in under 2 hours, right? And 100% it in under 2 hours, right?
Wow.
But that's because I know where everything is, right? And that's not even, I'm not even using speedrunning techniques, right? It's just not that long of a game.
It's not. Once you know and have memorized some of the level components, I even as much as I love Mega Man, I haven't memorized. I take it back. I've memorized 0 and 02. But I don't have that memory for most of them. I can probably get my way through Mega Man 2, again, because I've played it recently, and like I can hack my way through X in probably a couple of weeks. If I'm
X is probably the game
casually.
I have best memorized out of
right.
maybe any game.
But I would say 0 is for 01 is for me like 100%.
But the thing is I had years and years to figure all that shit out.
Right.
You know, like it took me probably a couple years to beat the first boss. You know, and that's because I started playing it when I was really young. But like being able like to know that there's these secrets and then having already beaten it and not accomplished all of them, going back and spending more time finding those is also part of it. And I feel like we've kind of rushed you through this process. Kind of have to for the review purpose, but I also feel like it's kind of taking a little bit away from the experience, and I apologize.
A little.
Yeah,
it is kind of how I have to play games these days, though. So, but I get that. Yes, I used to love like, dude, even like games like Yoshi's Story. I would like.
I love Yoshi's Story.
I would sniff through every single level. I have 100% that every melon, 40 melons on every level, and I'm like, that shit is for just some random shit. Games used to be just like pure and fun and no other reason. And I'm telling you,
and that's how X is. I think
there was an era there from, in my opinion, the Super Nintendo to the GameCube-ish,
like mid GameCube, mid GameCube.
And
I think GameCube suffered from "We Look Too Good"
I agree.
complex a lot.
But then there was Wind Waker, and there was Sunshine, and there was Metroid Prime, fucking first 3D Metroid. Like we had a lot of things that were really Animal Crossing, like a lot of things that kind of changed the game on the GameCube.
Yeah,
where like the N64 just wasn't capable, like, and they amped it up. But like I agree. It was kind of like half of it was really amazing, and the other half was like, and then the Wii was kind of like, okay, GameCube 2, and then we're just kind of getting to muddy territory. But like even the other consoles, PlayStation 1, 2, like, and even first Xbox, there was a lot of good shit in this zone right here, and the Dreamcast and everything like that, Sega Saturn and all that shit. But like, damn, I think the ideas were just so fresh and clean, and like that's why a lot of these games potentially are not rose-colored goggles, because the ideas are so fresh. And like, in my opinion, if you hand me GTA, I'm gonna be like, I don't give a shit. This game doesn't stand out to me. But if you hand me something like iconic, that
I would say the original GTA 1 and 2, the top-down ones, fucking awesome.
The one on the calculator
those are getting remade in the Vice City engine.
Oh,
the very
interesting.
first GTA was on a calculator.
I swear I saw that this week.
GTA 1 and 2 were freaking awesome. The top-down ones, really liked them. But let's get back to the topic, though. I think we've kind of strayed a little. What are some games that you guys feel like do suffer from this for sure? Right? Like,
oh my God, Jet Force Gemini.
Games that we see as brilliant, and that
dude, have you ever played Jet Force Gemini? So this is an N64 game. This was, in my opinion, a really good game. It was T-rated, so it was like edgy, and you got this new concept, and like there weren't any iconics.
Yeah.
These guys aren't long lasting. We never see them in any other game or any
third-person action shooter, one of the first.
Good.
Yeah.
And now you see that joystick was never designed to fucking aim fucking precisely on this fucking the smallest hair trigger. There's no assist in this game, and literally, like, okay, maybe I learned how to do it ever so slightly on my fading N64 joysticks, because how often do we Mario Partying and spinning that around and like breaking your joysticks? I'm telling you, dude, these did not hold up, and now more than ever, it does not hold up. It's like some games, like maybe it's the feel at the time where you're like, it's like more of a challenge because that's your maximum potential for a controller or for like graphics or whatever or game style. And so at the time you're like, okay, I'm maxed out right now. It's real good. And now it just doesn't plateau past that. It doesn't like, so 100%. A lot of games, that's like kind of like a thing where like, I don't know if that's lackluster game design or if that's using techniques that just don't last. Like if you're like trying to make a shooter with a shit joystick or a D-pad or some shit, you're kind of just like, okay, this is just how we're doing it. But like think outside the box. Metroid, Mega Man, you shoot sideways. Like there are other options for curing this type of. I'm sure, like that. I'm telling you, that's like they're lit. I'm probably pretty sure when they were thinking about Metroid, they're like, how do we fucking make a shooter that like isn't so horrible to control? And it's like your guy can run around and say, oh, just do it flat, dude. Like you don't have to do it in and out. Like a lot of these old shooters and westerns and shit were like side to side, in and out, like on this path and track gaming. Now, side to side, that's genius. You come up with the cure right there if you're just shooting in one direction. Honestly, it is kind of genius. So, there's just like ways to make your game last longer. Mario, it's like easy concepts that are just really replayable, amazing replay value, and just like it feels good to play, like even years later.
I think that's a really great example.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers is one of my favorite games to this day. Like definitely in my top 100 favorite games of all time. They were OG Super Mario Bros. I love that. You can just consume it. It still feels really good. Like sure, Mario's a little slidier or a little laggier, but like after playing the first level, you're like, okay, yeah, you're back. Like you're back in that zone, and like that game is great. Mario 35, I'm so sad is gone. But like,
I mean, Josh, it comes back to what you said a couple of weeks ago about Mario, the Super Mario Brothers. Literally teaching you the game while you play the game,
teaching you every step of the way. Like Mario is so good like that. Like each instance is like, here's a harmless test, and then okay, let's let you utilize that a little more. Now did you get the skills, and now you're in a hardcore zone. That's like the same with like Zelda, Metroid, all these. I'm telling you, Nintendo.
I think the Mega Man games do a decent way of
I think Mega Man is really good with that too, introducing, and then you like honestly. You're going to be like controversial statement potentially. I think Mega Man X is like 25% of Metroidvania.
It was moving. It was already moving in that general direction because that is ultimately where they went with.
I literally have to go back. I have to go through levels with different items. Like it's the only way to progress in certain ways or beat certain bosses potentially. So like, in my opinion, if I was playing it the long way, it would be kind of like a figure it out. Okay, I can only beat this boss. And then like, okay, now I know how to, dude.
I can see the argument for it. I can see the argument for it for sure. Definitely, like Zach said, the Zero games kind of get more into the Metroidvania feel.
Yeah.
Than X, but yeah, that kind of maybe the direction they were heading with it. But yeah, not 100%. Zach, what about you? Is there like a specific game that you never played as a kid, and then you play it as an adult, and you're like, holy shit, this game is trash,
absolute trash,
and everyone is like, no, it's awesome. We played it when we were kids. We loved it.
Okay, I'm going out on a limb here.
Controversial statement.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Ukulele. Oh,
Leisure Suit
game. That's not a kid's game.
I know, but some of my friends played it as a kid.
Yo, their parents were lit.
It was a Sierra game, and
their parents were drunk. Yeah, what the fuck?
Whatever. I didn't make the call.
Cassandra or whatever it's called.
I'm talking, as when we were teenagers, right?
Sure. Like, okay. Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh my god, this game's so ridiculous, so good, it's so much fun." I'm like, and I played it very recently, actually, like within the last couple of years, because I was really, really bored, and I was like, "God, this game sucks." They made like 7 of these. Like Sierra games in general, I guess, don't hold up.
There were some good Sierra games, man. You got to think they did like the Police Quest games, and they did. Correct. Didn't they do the Monkey Island stuff too? And
they did. But the idea of that just click around and
the point and click adventures,
see what happens. That idea doesn't hold up anymore.
No, I don't agree. I actually don't agree. And here's why. I spent maybe an hour or two with Chamali playing a brand new game called 12 Minutes. And this is actually
I was listening to you guys play that.
It's a very controversial game, actually. Like if you go look at reviews, they're all over the place. There's people that fucking
so that's what I mean.
You know, but it's a really good like point and click, mystery game, and it's totally in that style,
Okay, all
So
right.
I do think that
I guess
concept
I
holds
think
up.
those games feel like brochure games, in my opinion. Like they don't feel like as thick as literally a game
they
called 12
feel.
minutes. I wonder how long it takes to play. Like,
Well, I
it didn't
spent
take very long.
I spent like here's why it's called 12 minutes. It's like a Groundhog Day-esque loop that takes place over the course of 12 minutes, and if you die or you don't hit the desired result, it resets. And you have to it is and it's I think it's a really cool game.
It's like Majora's Mask.
Yeah, but in 12 minutes,
In
yeah.
12 minutes, yeah.
And you have to like learn from your previous, mistakes, and you get little nuggets of truth and information like as you go, and you can use that in your next run. It's a pretty cool game, man.
That's
but
a cool concept.
I mean that is
it's
exactly
definitely
how
not for
Sierra
everyone,
games
though.
work.
Yeah.
That's true. So I stand corrected.
Wait, why is it controversial?
Yeah, I don't know why it's controversial. I don't think anyone really holds a candle for Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people who were like, "Oh my god, Leisure Suit Larry was so funny."
I loved jerking off to that when I was a kid.
Okay, but it's probably in the same way that allegedly. I think, I don't know. I've never played them, but here's the thing: it's probably
17.
Yeah, it's probably in the same way that people
or whatever the rating is
enjoy
AO.
Conker's Bad Fur Day, right?
I'm almost certain it was AO.
Conker's Bad Fur Day is hilarious and very irreverent. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's probably why people enjoy it, is because of the raunchy comedy.
Exactly.
Conker stands out. Larry was rated M, dude.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm actually shocked. Never mind. Okay, I stand corrected. I could have sworn there was. Okay, never mind. What game am I?
Dude, I'm pretty sure you're right, Josh. The original Leisure Suit Larry was like an X-rated game. I think that was like the selling point of the game.
Well, no, this is the Sierra Collector Series.
Oh, okay.
This is
the Collector Series. Is that like remade?
They stopped doing AO as a rating.
Yeah,
like that was like around the N64 GameCube era.
Yeah. Regardless, I don't know that anyone really is carrying a torch for.
No, I agree. But...
Okay, boobs aside.
Adam says they were R-rated.
They were R-rated, but this was pre-game ratings. Oh, okay. I don't know shit. Okay, but Conkers, yes, this was big again because Nintendo, a big risk on them. They don't do shit like this. Are you kidding me? Sure, they have like No More Heroes and like shit like that these days, but this was the first time ever Nintendo was taking a lovable, cute character and putting him in the most fucking ridiculous story ever. He's blackout drunk is the intro
the
story. His fucking hot, sexy girlfriend like kicks him out of the house or whatever, and has to save her. I don't know, some shit.
But this is also a game.
Murder someone to save the day.
Yeah.
It's like
this is also a game that perfectly fits this situation, right?
Absolutely.
Like I remember loving that game as a kid. And I like maintained that I loved that game. It was actually Colin that was like, dude, go back and play that game. It ain't good. And I was like,
this game as a
you
kid,
spent so long trying to defend it too. Like, I mean, there's a clip in your away screen of you.
I don't know if Colin was a kid when he played this game.
I think he said he was. He had the.
Pretty sure I introduced him to this game. So
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But the point is, the remake is decent if you want to put yourself through it.
The original's not. And
the original is not. The voice acting's not bad. I think the voice acting's actually incredible. Yeah,
one guy, all the voices.
The compression on the Nintendo 64 cartridge is what makes the voice acting feel bad. They use the exact same audio files, just not compressed, for the remake, and it sounds fine. And the fact that one guy did all those voices is impressive as hell.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the one guy thing. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I think it's impressive as all.
I think the concept is really awesome, although I don't think that kind of concept would play nowadays. Well, I mean, like if you had like a crazy off the wall like Mario game that was like R-rated and he's just like smashing Goombas and their brains explode out and shit and like stuff like that, that would be insane. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Hilarious.
They used Conker because he was like an IP. They were unsure about what to do with. Also, Conker was supposed to get a different game. You guys know about? I think Colin backed me up on the name. It's like 5 somethings, or it was lost. The original Conker game was going to be an actual adventure game. It was going to be really chill like Mario. It wouldn't have had the same effect.
And I had a couple other games in mind that would fit this too, and they were all, like weirdly all 64 games. There's got to be other ones, right? There's got to be other games that are not Nintendo 64.
I think it's
games
the controller on the N64
that hit this.
Like the N64 controller was one of the worst controllers, and like terrible. Literally, it's terrible. And that's why Diddy Kong Racing can only hold up so much. That game holds up, but it would hold up so much more with a remake. God, I think certain games do require remakes to save them. Like Diddy Kong Racing does, Star Fox doesn't, because it still feels good, right? It doesn't really need a remake because it still feels just as good. If you can get past the graphics, this game is flawless. Like, right? And most people can. So like, but yeah, games like, I already forgot what I was talking about. What was that? What did I literally just say?
Well, you were just asking about
Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, it's like it's control reliant. Like you can't avoid that the joystick is kind of wonky on this thing, and like it just needs a remake to save this game in the future. I feel like
not gonna happen.
Josh, the game you were thinking of is Conker's Other Bad Day.
No, that was like a planned sequel that was canceled. There was an original game.
It was.
Oh, I thought it was what he was talking about. Oh,
it was what Conker was gonna be.
Yeah. No, there was an original.
Okay.
Lost Island or something. I don't remember. Exactly.
Okay, I don't know that.
In the chat we got the original Resident Evils were like rose-colored glasses games. I think
like 5. 4
come with me on this journey.
5. I think up to 4 is bad, and Colin's gonna hate me for that because he loves 4, and I think it's.
I hate 4.
Good. I don't think.
I think 4 is definitely one of these games because Colin loved that game when it came out, and I did it as a review for this podcast, and I had never played it before, and I played it and I fucking hated it. It was so bad. I could not stand it. Yeah.
So come with me on this journey.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Purely because I mean, my video game experience is admittedly limited because I didn't grow up with video games.
Which is why I think you're a perfect subject for this topic.
Exactly.
Go on.
I did a Google search. I said games that just don't hold up anymore. I found an article, and I disagree with 90% of them.
Let's hear what they think.
Okay, let's hear it.
Thegamer.com, which I have no idea where the site came from.
Never mind.
Lists so many of my favorites. Metroid.
Fuck themselves.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed.
Agree.
Donkey Kong
I agree with Assassin's Creed.
Josh.
Agree on Donkey Kong 64. And
I agree on that too.
I don't think Donkey Kong 64 holds up.
I've tried playing it recently. I've never played that game before until recently. Can't stand it.
I beat it like 4 years ago, and it is grueling. It is grueling. I just want to see how painful it is. It is grueling. They need to remake that, or the mod loader people.
So far, I agree with 2 of these for sure.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed and Donkey Kong.
I think the very first Metroid potentially for new people doesn't hold up.
I loved it. I had a great time.
I still love it. I'm just saying, but I think new people might not like it at all.
Well, I hadn't played the first one.
Yeah.
I
just recently played the first.
I just recently played it and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think it's a great game still. Yeah. Continue. Let's hear.
Mass Effect. That hurts, man.
I don't know.
Okay, I can't comment on that, but that might be one of these.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I've never played it, so.
Yeah. Okay,
I agree with what Adam said.
Hurts. Pokemon Red and Blue.
They can go die and burn in hell.
They're wrong.
They are wrong.
They are wrong.
They're categorically wrong on that. They're categorically wrong on that. Yeah.
Those games do hold up so well.
Oh they do.
God.
This one, I'm kind of on the fence about because it's not my favorite in the series.
So I definitely have rose-colored glasses for those games, but I can't imagine a world. I've played other games in similar veins that like I didn't play as a kid, and they hold up. I don't know. I just don't know how you could say that. They're incredible games, and they really like set a standard.
The fact that what is it called? Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are just still so good. Like they do hold up.
Yeah. So this next one is I don't know where I fall on it because it's the one I've played the least. And it is my least favorite in the series, but it's Twisted Metal 2.
So I never thought those games
Twisted Metal 1 and Twisted Metal 3 are my favorites in the series.
Okay, I was not super into the Twisted Metal games only because I didn't have a PlayStation.
My cousin didn't. That's
but I played like the Vigilante 8 games and things like that, and those were fun games. But I think they were definitely a product of their time, and I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen a fucking Vigilante 8 or a Twisted Metal game in how long?
Years.
Because
So
they're
many years.
not that great of a concept.
We're getting a Twisted Metal.
Correct. I would still play the hell out of Twisted Metal 3.
That's
if
a
someone
rumor.
said Twisted Metal 3 is here,
we're getting a Twisted Metal TV show, and there's a rumor there's an accompanying game, but we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know why that wouldn't be.
But I mean, bring back that Rob Zombie soundtrack. And Rob Zombie and Pitch Shifter did the soundtrack to Twisted Metal 3. And that's part of why it was so much my favorite in the series. Just the soundtrack fit so perfectly. And three of them were just Rob Zombie / White Zombie already released songs.
Yeah.
He did one original for the for the game. And then Pitch Shifter just pulled them off their record as well. Super Smash Brothers 64.
Go fuck yourselves, you pieces of shit. Die.
64 though, Josh.
Oh, you know what I actually have to say about this? I was talking to, I don't know if it was you guys even. I think it was my friends at work. I think that game should get a remake. I think that if Mario Party Superstars can come out, I think that Super Smash Bros. 64 remake for the Switch could come out.
I'd be interested. I think
with
it's
Ultimate controls.
Dude, okay, come with me on this one. I think Super Smash Brothers are like all the games from the beginning have been you had to be their game. They're a nostalgic like fucking Goonies game. If you didn't play them as a kid, you wouldn't enjoy them and would not have nostalgia for them.
The first one was really raging for me, and I was never that good at it. And as the controls got easier and easier to learn, I feel like I started liking the newer Smashes more. But now Smash is a game that, in my opinion, and this is super controversial because people play Melee a lot, and still Melee is still the most widely competitive game in it. I think there's no reason to go back when a new Smash comes out. I think they've made it the new thing they want it to be, and that's the meta you should play. And like, I don't see a reason to go back. It's like it's kind of like the Call of Duty of Nintendo, where like you get the newest version and you just work with that.
Going back sure is Call of Duty from Nintendo.
I love Smash Bros, but going back never feels good. I never played the Melee or the Wii U version or anything like that, and I'm like, oh, this is just as good. I'm like, this is way worse control-wise for a lot of reasons, and like the characters aren't as good, and like even though it's more user-friendly, and people argue that makes it worse than the newer ones, I still think like going back and playing Melee, I'm just like, it's so like not as responsive and like, to me, like some people love that and that's their thing, fuck them. That's why I want a remake. Of 64.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how that does, because I think that's a perfect example of what we're talking about tonight. I remember that as a great game, but maybe it doesn't hold up with the new audience.
I don't know if it holds up.
I don't know. I don't think it does, because they're used to cleaner,
I personally
crisper.
think that nostalgia's carried the entire series, but Adam in the
I
chat
played it
wildly disagrees with me, and he's got a really good point. And that is, it spawned a new genre of fighters, which I think is a terrible fucking genre. But that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, millions of people disagree with me.
I complained about it being implemented in X-Dive at the top of the show. Yeah, like it's a dumb system in at its core. Anyway, moving on. Next one, Grand Theft Auto 3. I think they're probably right about that one. Now I'm thinking a little more clearly about it.
I personally don't think any of the
right
GTAs are that great.
I don't either. I've never.
I think they peaked with the top-down games. I do.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider.
I'm not sure I agree or not.
I
heard that game's still amazing.
So I think you're right on Tomb Raider.
A Turok situation. There.
No, I actually recently watched a review of Tomb Raider, like the original, and I think you're right. I think that like the controls were trash, and like a lot of it just doesn't hold up.
Tomb Raider 3, they got a little bit better. That was a little bit more playable, I remember. But I mean, also, her front got bigger.
Sure.
Teenagers were into that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then finally, we've talked about this one, Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil.
I can see that. Here's the thing with Resident Evil. Same thing that you have going on with Onimusha. You've got the tank controls, which in a horror game I think really sets the ambiance, because it like makes everything feel like a struggle. But I don't think I think that's a cheap way to do it. And I think that at the time we were fine with it because it looked better than any other game because of like the pre-rendered graphics and things like that. But but going back to it, I could imagine that game doesn't hold up worth a shit.
Mm-hmm. So I was interested in that article. Like the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe he's right about some of these. But at least in terms of Pokemon, he's wrong. He's dead wrong.
Pokemon
there.
does hold up. I don't know what they're smoking.
I have students who play it now and they love it because of how simple it is compared to the new ones.
Yeah, it's a really good game. He said Mega Man is overrated. He's
Colin, you can go right to hell.
Dude, he's trolling. He's trolling for sure because we've been giving him crap about ukulele and stuff for the last 2 days.
So. Yeah. Okay, and that brings us. Let's sew it up then. With
let's sew it up. Let's button it up.
So I have something to say on this. Okay, just to make 4Gs a little happy now because he was saying "fuck you guys" for thinking this is possibly a good game. Okay, some concepts are better left dead. There are games like Banjo-Kazooie that maybe it holds up for the people that love it only from the past. Maybe it does hold up for new players. Okay. But maybe it's a game that we shouldn't crack back open because it is in a time capsule.
Sure.
And it's like you have to dip back into the past and play that. Yeah. And then so now Yooka-Laylee is a spiritual successor, kickstarted bullshit game that is literally trying to recreate a spirit of a game that was so pure, so full of original ideas, so in the time, perfectly released, and to these people still holds up so well. Of course, Yooka-Laylee is going to be a bad game. Like, there's no way you can compete to actual spirit. Spiritual successor doesn't mean it has that like love and soul to it. I would say
lightning in a bottle.
It's lightning in a bottle.
So like exactly
they missed the mark on a lot of things that just don't make it a Banjo-Kazooie game. There's like no level design. The characters are too complex. The dialogue is really fucking annoying. The levels are too big. The levels are the biggest issue, and the collectathon it just becomes like Donkey Kong 64 in there. And you know there are games that can do it. A Hat in Time, I say, is one of the best games of the most recent generation because it takes things that we truly loved from like Mario 64 and like these amazing platforming things and puts in a new game that it looks like it kind of could have came out on the Wii or the Wii U, but it's actually a new game that functions very modernly, and it's like super extensive because of all the modding and stuff, and it's a game that lets people have fun. And so like, I think that there is a way to like bring that past nostalgia into the future, and like A Hat in Time, Cuphead, Hollow Knight, these are games that I think are really good examples of keeping that like nostalgia alive in the present. But it is very hard to recreate that because you basically have to be new but still pay homage. Like, let's see about Metroid Dread. I'm really hoping that it's like one of the best fucking side-scrolling
the last trailer
ever.
I watched for it like got me really hyped, especially because they're like they made reference to like the X Parasite and things like that. Which like if you have not played Metroid Fusion, go fucking play that game.
Do that. You gotta do that thing, or at least watch a video because
that's the game that comes directly before this next Metroid game. So if you plan on playing it, check out Metroid Fusion. It's amazing.
I will say, Adam, though, play A Hat in Time. Anyone who's like, I miss platformers and I miss a feeling of the past, but there's nothing new like that. Play A Hat in Time. You're like,
dude, Cyber Shadow is another game like that.
Cyber Shadow's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I never finished that game because other things came.
It's extremely hard, but it is fucking amazing.
It's so like when you finish a level in that game, it feels so good.
Yeah. I think Josh is.
Go
ahead, Josh.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say those games will last. So like Cuphead, for example, this game will be 30, 40, 50 years from now, a legendary 10 out of 10 game to so many people still. It will hold up in the future of gaming, in my opinion. And there is a way to do that. Like I was saying, like if you can maintain that spirit, game designers are serious about a game being like a game at its core and being original about it and having all these unique ideas and feels, and it feels good. That can hold up. And that's going to keep happening, but it's less. Like I'm telling you, playing in the past is almost like better right now than playing in the future. Because like games just don't have spirit in them anymore. But anyway, what were you gonna say? You're saying Josh perfectly summed it up. We can end it.
That's kind of what I was saying. You did perfectly sum it up. I think your point about how like the spirit of a game doesn't necessarily transfer over to like these spiritual successors. It really takes someone that has a passion for that style to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like far derived from what the original topic was, but I think that's a great place to end it.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
I did add another topic to our list because I thought the games that keep genres alive push the envelope in some way. And that's how they work. That's how the genre stays alive, and I think we can talk about that more in depth in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. Arguably, I think Mega Man is kind of bullet helly.
It's very different from a bullet hell. Like, and comparing Cuphead and Mega Man. So for anyone listening, this is we're taking some information from the chat. We've had, 4Jesus is trolling again, but he's saying Cuphead's better than Mega Man, and I think they're two very different games. Mega Man's not a bullet hell in any way.
There's some similarities for sure.
There are.
But
Cuphead's a bare bones.
Yeah.
Cuphead doesn't upgrade you and doesn't have the same type of factors, and like Cuphead is very much a bullet hell. Like it's supposed to be as difficult as possible for no reason.
And Mega Man is as Comics and Coffee says in the chat, is very deliberate.
Yeah, it's deliberate. And you become like a god at the end, and it's like it's different. Yeah. I like that.
Anyway,
I would cite the ending of Mega Man 01 as the perfect example for that.
Yeah, Mega Man is more of a platformer actually, and Cuphead is definitely a boss rush bullet hell.
Yeah.
Yep. They're very, very different games. Anyway, continue.
No, that's it. Let's wrap it up. We've gone a little long tonight.
It has some upgrades, but it's okay. Anyway, I'm done. There we go.
All right, if you're watching this show live, you're on my channel. I stream on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, whatever serial game I'm playing at the time. So right now I'm playing I'm playing Zelda Skyward Sword, really enjoying it. I took a break from it this last week, but we'll get back on it this week. On Saturdays, I always stream a samurai game because it's Samurai Saturday. I always do a Saturday game on Samurai Saturday. And then we're here every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Central Time for the podcast, which you're watching right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, please share it for us. We really appreciate that. That's the most important thing you could do to help us out. And if you want to yell at me on Twitter, I'm at Ryugami-sama. Josh, where can we find you, man?
Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV on all my bullshit. Send me a thing and I'll be like, never respond. I will be streaming the finale of Mega Man X this week. So get ready.
Oh, you're going to do it? You're going to stream it?
I think so. There's no reason not to do it.
Well, there's reasons not to, but go for it.
So far. I think so far I've been doing pretty good as far as skills in this game. I feel like I'm picking up the controls really well. That's also a testament, just a little slip this in. If a new person can like learn the controls really easily, that's a huge plus. If it's not like clunky and confusing, it's like a massive draw to a game. Yeah. Then it doesn't feel old. You know what I mean? I'm a big gameplay guy. I don't see like graphics. I don't care about the graphics nearly as much as I care about the gameplay.
And the gameplay is something that the Mega Man games have always really like hit on the head.
Really worked hard on.
Agreed. But yeah, catch me doing that and bullshit and stuff. Jade will be there.
Awesome. Zach.
And I'm on Twitch at Another Letdown. I'll be live Thursday this week for Batman Arkham Knight, closing out some last few things on that. Almost done with it. And on Saturday, this is not an Arkham week, so Saturday I'll be doing miniatures painting. And I'm back to work this week, so it's back to kind of a normal schedule. And then you can find me on Twitter at DENONCZD and on YouTube at Another Letdown CF.
Awesome. My voice cracked. Awesome.
Good way to end it.
Awesome. Have a good night, you guys. Thanks once again.
See ya.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.